CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
West Shore RCMP confirmed they are investigating a hockey fight that got out of control. It happened at the Victoria Grizzlies game on Saturday night as they hosted the Chilliwack Chiefs. But the complaint is not about a player, it is about a coach. Grizzlies forward Chris Albertini did not dress in the game, but says he was hurt when the Chiefs' assistant coach threw a stick from the bench, hitting him in the temple. He says it happened late in the third period after a brawl had broken out on the ice. No charges have been laid, but the BCHL did hand down suspensions to several players and a $1,500 fine to both teams. RCMP are investigating. A woman in Oak Bay spent more than a half an hour trapped inside her vehicle last night after a spectacular crash. When the emergency crews arrived, they found a vehicle on its side and pinned between two other vehicles. Police say a brown car and a black SUV collided at the intersection of Lansdowne and Henderson, then hit a white vehicle. Police say the driver of the SUV is incredibly lucky.
The driver of the black vehicle was trapped inside the vehicle for close to a half an hour while emergency crews tried to get her out. She's very, very lucky. The sunroof was actually impaled by the white car and appeared to have missed her completely. So she's very fortunate indeed.
She was taken to the hospital suffering non-life-threatening injuries. The other drivers suffered minor injuries only. If you visit Elk and Beaver Lakes this weekend and beyond, you may notice there is a blue-green sheen on the water, and the CRD warns you to stay back and to keep your pets away from it as well. There's an algae bloom underway right now. It may look like surface scum, blue-green in color, and it could be toxic. The blooms occur naturally in the fall and winter when nutrients rise to the top of the lake. The CRD says it'll move through its natural course and eventually dissipate, but to be conscious of it and keep your pets away from it in the meantime.
We see it at the lake periodically. This time last year we saw a similar bloom. So what we're advising folks is that they just stay away from those areas. Particularly think about your pets, keep them on a leash and keep them on trail, and avoid your pets and dogs going into the water and ingesting the algae.
The bloom was first detected in mid-December despite the installation of a new aerator last summer. Parks staff say the aerators can help by reducing algae blooms but may not eliminate them entirely, and they say this year's bloom was expected. Never mind algae, how'd you like to go to the beach and find this? It looks like a silo. It has washed up on the shores of Haida Gwaii, got there New Year's Day, and it looks to be one of the biggest pieces of Japanese tsunami debris to make it to BC so far. The silo has been towed to the fisheries office in Masset. In world news tonight, 2 hostage takings, 5 people working for a Toronto-based mining company, Braval, working in Colombia, including 1 Canadian, have been abducted in an incident this morning. There's no indication what the status of those hostages is tonight, although there are negotiations underway. Meantime, the fate of a number of Western hostages being held at a remote gas plant in Algeria remains unclear tonight. It's believed that there are still Islamist gunmen inside the plant, surrounded by Algerian forces. The situation remains uncertain. Algerian troops stormed the site yesterday, freeing 100 Algerian and Western workers. It's believed as many as 8 hostages, some Americans, are still being held in a machine room at the complex. Word today that 1 American has been killed. Also a word that one of the hostage takers may be a Canadian man, though those reports have not yet been confirmed. Molly Campbell, the little girl who was diagnosed with cancer just weeks after she was born, is once again fighting for her life. Her leukemia is back, and her father says the prognosis is not good. The family is now being treated at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee. Her father says the experimental treatment there is 2-year-old Molly's best chance for survival. The Campbell's website is down. It was attacked by hackers. A new one should be up in a few days. The family says their stay in Memphis will be financially draining, and they may need help once again and may appeal for that through their website. A man has been arrested after 11 propane tanks were stolen from the Nanaimo Ice Center. Video surveillance shows 2 men in an old blue truck near the storage container right before the theft that happened on January 3rd. 2 days later, a Nanaimo RCMP officer stopped a truck on Extension Road and he seized a number of propane tanks out of the vehicle, questioning the driver, who was later released.
Fortunately, we found that truck with the driver 2 days later, and in the back of the truck there was a number of the propane tanks, and coincidentally we also found the number of the brass couplings in that. So the members went back to the ice center and matched those brass couplings with the Zamboni that cleans the ice. It was a perfect match.
The Nanaimo RCMP have now recovered 7 of the 11 stolen tanks. They say the Nanaimo man was using them to fuel his truck. He was served with a promise to appear on a charge of possession of stolen property under $5,000 and has a court date in April. Nanaimo's population will temporarily boom this year with 7 cruise ships scheduled to pull into port. The Nanaimo Port Authority invested $24 million in a new terminal last year and says the investment's paying off. 5 cruise ships visited Nanaimo last year, and the Harbor City expects this year's 7 ships will bring up to $1 million in revenue to the local economy.
The community can expect to receive, I guess, somewhere in the nature of probably 14 to 15,000 new visitors over the spring and certainly in the fall season.
The Port Authority hopes to eventually have more than 30 cruise ship visits each year. 4 vessels are scheduled to visit in May, 3 more in September. Nanaimo is rallying around a young football star who has been forced onto the sidelines, tackling a serious health problem. We first brought you his story earlier this month. 13-year-old Kylan was a rising star with the John Barsby Junior Bulldogs. He's battling a rare medical condition which produces cancerous cells on his colon. Doctors told his family they have no choice but to remove his colon, and they must operate next month. Tomorrow, the community will host a pub night to raise money to help him during the fight, and the donations have been pouring in.
I didn't realize that there was this much support. I thought maybe I would get 3 or 4 donations, maybe something good, but nothing like this. It's amazing.
Folks wanting to help Kylan have been doing their thing. At least $6,000 in items have been donated for the auction, including gift certificates, jerseys, and Canucks tickets. The event happens tomorrow night at the Harewood Arms Pub from 6 till 9. If you can't make it, but you would still like to lend your support, you can email the family to find out how. Their email is on your screen.